Noah Lyles saves his best for Sunday. We didn't believe, but he did. What an impressive victory in the men's 100 meters. How many of you had Lyles as the favorite before the World Championships began? And be honest, even after the opening round, how many of you had him winning? I had a lot of doubts. I had nowhere did I put Noah Lyles on top of the podium. I saw him struggling to get into the final. That's how I thought about it. That's how I conceived of this thing. But Lyles, not only did he prove all the doubters wrong, he showcased that he's a superstar. Now he's taking on a much bigger role in terms of trying to dominate the sport, trying to become amongst a few men who've managed to win the 100 meters and the 200 meters at a major championship, the likes of a Maurice Green, the likes of the great Usain Bolt, Justin Gatlin. I just didn't see this coming. And hats off to Noah Lyles. You did it. You're the big man in town. And we have to give you much respect. I want to thank everybody for joining me this evening. We'll be covering all the happenings of the championship. It's a lovely way to start the 100-meter final. Equal world lead time from Noah Lyles, 9.83, delivered when it mattered. So we'll break that down in a second. Hopefully you enjoy this today. And yeah, I'll get to your comments and your questions. Don't forget to do that. Hit that like and subscribe button, especially that like button so people know that we're going live. I already see a few people here. Mushu is here. All in the game, ever present. You and I have been talking all day on the chats. And yeah, we'll talk about this. This was an amazing performance. I couldn't see this coming. I don't even have anything bad to say about Lyles, his prediction about how fast he would run. None of that matters. He delivered when it counted. And we didn't even get to see the defending champion. The defending champion wasn't in the race. That was unexpected. All year I saw Fred Kerley. He didn't look as good as we thought he would have looked. But you know Fred is a championship performer. And he just didn't, for whatever reason, he couldn't make it. He didn't make it out of his semifinals. Oblique Seville looked like a G in that semifinal. We'll get more on him in a second. The Olympic champion didn't factor. None of us had him factoring, so that's not even a surprise. Losing Simbini to a false start. Some of those things in the semifinals would have been things that we wouldn't have anticipated. But we get into this final, and going into the final, Zarnell Hughes looked shaky to me. And I think I was saying to all in the game that Zarnell really needs to watch the 2015 final. That would be the key for him before he walks into this final, because there's some lessons there by the great man in terms of how to time a dip, where you want to be, how to be in good composure. But having said all of that, I just never thought that Lyles would have come out in such a really good start. In the semifinal, looked really good. Came out well. I'm sure Lance was definitely happy with that. Excellent start for him. And you knew if he were able to replicate that in the final, he would definitely find his way on the podium. On top of it, I didn't think so, because I also thought Seville looked extremely well. Very comfortable in that semifinal. Didn't do much in the second phase of the race or in the latter phase of the race. Zarnell was really shaky. And then Coleman put together a couple series of runs that I really thought that maybe he's back. And he actually, I think maybe if not for that stumble in the final, could have done much better. Thank you everybody for joining me. But the three medalists, Noah Lyles, 9.83, Letsile Tobogo. What a young man. This guy's already delivering. Last year, World Junior Champion, Under 20 Champion, loads of talent. We know that, in my mind, I thought the 200 meters would be where Let's Sealy would really take the sport to a next level in the years to come. But he's already delivering with a major medal at his second major championship. He was there last year in Oregon. I like that kid. I think the kid is golden. He's really has a good team around him, head on his shoulder, humble individual. And he shows up, runs a national record. So 2 national records this year. He's having a fantastic season. We saw era record obviously in the 200 meters earlier. So we expect a lot for him. So second, third, and fourth runs the same time, as we see if we get the results up on the screen. Barely, separated by some very small things. I have to bring it back up. I think I can't even see the separations again. But I get the official results just to make sure I don't make any errors. Yeah, 0.873 to 0.874 and 0.877. And so if you're oblique Seville this evening, you're not happy for a number of reasons, because then you run the same time as the guys who are on the medal podium, but you're separated by some sophisticated photo finishing cameras, 10,000 frames per second in order to get that separation. Can't really pick that up particularly well by the naked eye. Definitely not the Tobago versus the Hughes. And if you say you can, then something's wrong. You must have bionic eyes. And back-to-back fourth place. I think last year I was definitely thinking he would be on a medal podium. Coming into this championships, I didn't see it coming because we saw that he had some injuries. But some of the words that I got from people close to the camp suggested that he's in good nick, and he looked really good in the first 2 races. He just couldn't put together that at the end to find his way on a medal podium. And when I saw Lyles right beside him early in the race, I was like, ooh, this spells big trouble. And so he comes into this championship, Noah Lyles wins a 100-meter title, which I'm sure he wanted to win. But if he didn't win it, I don't think anybody could say anything about it. So this was his bonus run. And now he's after his 3rd straight title over 200 meters. Then he'll hope to see if the United States can also win the 4x1. And he may very well walk away with 3 gold medals. Let me get to some of your comments. So thank you everybody for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button. All in the game is my guy. He's always having everything there. But sad about Simbini, I do, because I think Simbini was in good nick. I think he was better shape than we thought he would have been. Well, not really thought, but I knew he was in good shape. I got also some good word from some people saying that he came into the championships in good shape. And, he's always in the mix. Didn't get a chance to feature. And it's sad. I don't know how much more he can deliver. Maybe he can come back next year. It only gets tough after that. I know All in the Game is ready now to come with the controversial. I think somebody else said this yesterday on one of the lives. I can't remember who did. Comparing him to Asafa. And I said I wasn't necessarily sure I wanted to make that claim yet, because especially this one, we didn't come in with an expectation that he was a clear favorite for anything. After the rounds, we said to ourselves, yeah, he's in good nick and he should find his way on the medal podium. And I didn't think that 3 men would beat him. But so it happened. But he's very young still. I think next year is the year if he stays healthy. And if he doesn't deliver next year, then there's a lot of questions that we have to ask. And maybe that comparison is somewhat much better. Zarnell, I thought, kept his composure, and lots of kudos to him because he's been around for a while. And shout out to Glenn Mills. He's both in charge of both of those guys over a long period of time. He looked shaky. And I said, well, if I had to put money on it, I was like, he may not make the table. even though he ran really well this year. And he found a way to stay in the race and get on the medal podium. So Hughes deserves a lot of credit. Ryan Ford from Jamaica, finishing at the bottom first time around these kind of parts. I think he learned from that. Ferdinand Omanyala, what can we say? He almost didn't make it, just barely pipping, I guess, Fred Kerley into the final. And Omanyala comes and delivers a 10.07. So lots of questions for the Kenyan man. He made history, obviously, by being the first Kenyan to make it to a global final over 100 meters. But again, he's a altitude bully. That's kind of harsh, but most of his times are up there. And I thought Omanyala would have done much better, and he didn't. Shout out to Sonny Brown, because I think that youngster has a lot of talent as well. But the real talent, obviously, I think, is Let's See Tobago, because he's really, really raw. And I think he'll do a good showing over 200 meters. Thank you, everybody, for doing. Bella Jane, thank you for joining us tonight, this evening, and walked him down. He didn't at all, all in the game. Okay. I think you're responding to all in the game here. Okay. But appreciate you on the channel. I can't remember if you've been here before, so we'll see. Top boy prize. That's you're jumping again. I'm saving that for a little bit. Stick around. I want to hear your stuff too. I have a little talk about that in terms of what happened next. We'll do some breakdown of the first round of the women's 100 meters. Some good stuff on show there. We also will take a look at some of the semifinal lineup there, because there's a particular semifinal that has me thinking that somebody's going to start crying before we even get to the final. So we'll get to that in a second. But the 100 meters lived up. It was unpredictable. I said it before. I didn't get it right. And I don't think a lot of people did. And that's okay, because that's the thing about sport. It often serves some up. I think I remember a couple of people on the channel saying, you'll get the unexpected. And we did. And it's been a period of time where we can't really predict where medals will be going. And I think that's not a bad thing. And there's a lot of changeover in terms of who winning medal, a totally different podium than last year. Not a single one of those persons are around. For various reasons. Injuries, obviously, the defending champion couldn't make it into the final. And something is going on with Freddie, he's just not saying. Yeah. And so, yeah, good to see you, St. Clair, as well. Thank you for being on the channel. So there's a lot of things that we want to talk about. And yeah, even me, I think I was safe on this, to be honest with you. I didn't know where to go early. And part of me just probably was trying to do a safe pick when I was thinking about Fred, because when he didn't perform that well, especially over 200 meters at the US Championships, I was like, something isn't right. I mean, he started off the season really good out there in Australia, I believe, but something went awry. And we'll see if he comes back around. But it's good for the sport when people can get in and out of the mix. But it was a lovely 100-meter final, one of the better finals in a long while, I thought. 9.83. It's very good time. Let's be honest with you. We get spoiled in terms of the times we want. A lot of us want to see sub 9.8s. It's not easy to get to that stage. A zero wind and a good performance all in all. If you're civil, you are not happy. But there's a next year. And if you don't deliver next year, then there's a lot of questions to be had. Because then now we start to think about our questions around management and so on. And that's something that we have to think through. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to go through a number of events. I'm going to obviously get to the women's 100 meters as well. But I want to touch on a couple more finals. Bear with me. This is a track and field show. I cover everything. And I think it's important. And I think most of you here are avid fans and just don't only want to hear about 100 meters. But let me know if you had predicted the winner and so on. Good to see you. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a little bit. This was easy to call, in my opinion, in a year where the traditional sprinters aren't in 9-7 shape, it makes sense that the 3 200-meter men with top end speed would win. Hey, kudos to you. I never saw it coming that way. I mean, I know Lyles is always a big guy and he backs it up, but I just thought that, you know, things would have looked somewhat different as well. But yeah, you know, Cesarnell showed up. You know, he's, in my mind, settled some arguments, and this could be a launching pad for him. I'm sure they're going crazy over there on the BBC and other places because, you know, when was the last time a British guy got on a medal stage here? Was it Linford Christie? And I'm not talking about, you know, at least legally. So yeah, so that was what we saw there. Let's go so quickly through some more stuff, and don't forget to hit that like button and let me know your comments, and I'll get to them. You know me, I put them on the screen. Yeah, I think, you know, the semifinals. I mean, we don't have to touch on that again. I think you know, the biggest casualty from that was Fred Kerley, and we spoke about that. Yeah, was it Darren Campbell? Yeah, probably. Yeah, I can't remember, to be honest with you, all in the game. I know there would have been a time. Yeah, it may have been, or it could have been Christie. I can't even recall. It's been such a long time. Let's quickly look at the men's 10,000 meters. This was hard for me to call initially in my predictions, and I won't go over my predictions again, just because that way I will save myself from looking terrible. But I did have Cheptegei in the mix. It's just that I didn't know what to expect from Joshua Cheptegei. The big man came back. He's not big, but he delivered 3 in a row. And what he proved to us is that we don't really need to think about what kind of season he was having. And he comes here and he runs a season best 27:51:42. You know, and the Kenyan I thought was really good, Ibenyo. And then Solomon Berega, who I thought put some pressure, just didn't quite have that kick. And I think the pace was at a pace that Cheptegei liked. Early on, I think his countryman, who probably finished way down, I think, you know, took the pace out somewhat. And he delivered. That's 3 in a row, one of the all-time greats. And we have to think about some other things, and I don't want to bring that up right now, but I think the 10,000 meters served us something special. I enjoyed it pretty much, and that was quite the opener before we get to the 100 meters this evening. So quickly on that, I think Cheptegei was good. I had him in the mix. I just wasn't sure where to put him. And in a year when I think Kip Lima wasn't around and so on, he managed to do something special there. All right, I want to quickly, let's see what all in the game is saying here. Darren Campbell won silver and a bronze in the World Championships in 2003. Yeah, so it is him. So it's been a while for them off the podium, and the Jamaicans need to get their act together. Otherwise, it's going to take them a long time before they're back into this space. But I like this. The talent that we saw coming through suggests that there are things to be optimistic about. They just have to deliver on the main stage. Talking about delivering on the main stage, I would like to transition and quickly touch on the Heptathlon. That was special. You know, I was a bit disappointed coming into the championship, saying to myself, well, no Nafitayam, that big showdown between her and Anna Hall wouldn't have happened. It probably wouldn't have been a super, super exciting thing. But boy, was I wrong. And where did KJT come from? Where did Katharina Johnson-Thompson find that? I mean, she stepped up in some interesting ways. We're going to break it down all in the game as well. But the Americans real salty about KJT. Is it happening on social media? I actually don't know. I know that obviously Anna Hall is distraught. I feel bad for her. I mean, it happens. You know, I saw Jackie Joyner-Kersee in the stands, and I know she was hoping that Anna Hall would do something. Clearly, I think she was struggling. She had some kind of a leg injury. Didn't make it through to 186, I think, in the high jump. yesterday. So she wasn't at her best. But I think KJT was under the radar because I just didn't know that she would have found a way to what kind of tape she bandaged herself up with to come into this championship and win a title, another title. That's some big, 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 big type of thing here. And it was a spectacular 800-meter at the end. Spectacular, spectacular 800-meter at the end. Because what was it? Championship record for Hall because she had to fight. And as you saw, if you're watching the race live, you see the points shifting up and down, the greatness of technology there. I think Hall runs, 204.09 championship PB for Katherine Thompson for Katharina Johnson-Thompson, because she knew she had to run something super special. There was like a massive PV, I think, early in the javelin. Who was it? The Dutch woman, I think, or the Belgian woman, I can't remember. And so it lived up. It lived up in the end, separated by 20 points, I think. Let me check to make sure I'm not telling you anything wrong. So yeah, 6,740 against 6,720. Yeah. And Veta coming in for the bronze. Yeah, Veta was for the javelin. Yeah, thank you. All in the game. It was a lovely javelinist thing. I don't think anybody thought that would have gone that far. Certainly not the officials. So this lived up. And as an exercise in athletic ability, showcase the very best of the sport and the ability to perform over 2 days, grueling events. And it was lovely to see. So I was excited by that. I hope you enjoyed that too. So that, and if we move from the heptathlon, let's quickly talk about the long jump. And Violetta, I need to send her a DM or something because I messed up here. It was lovely to see in a year where we're missing the German woman, what's her name, Mohambi or Mohambo. She steps up with a world lead of 7 meters 14. Big performance for her. And Davis Woodall 691, and Rotaru Kotterman. Imagine that I think on our sixth and final jump, 688, to put out Esse Brume. Because I was building up the story and I was about to talk to Deje, because he's there in Budapest, to say that Brume, even though she wasn't having a fantastic season, comes and delivers. And imagine to lose it just at the very end by 4 cms, I think. And it's tough, but it was a good competition over long jump. And you have to remember, we missed in the opening round, we lost a lot of people. Yeah, first gold medal, right, all in the game at 33. Lovely jump. I think what was the series? She had a couple series over 7 meters, right? It was 2 of them over 7. Yeah, there was a 705 early out there. She went out to a big thing. And yeah, rightly so. Very long season for both Jasmine and Akila. Yeah, this is one of the things that we talked about a lot. And she also battled some injuries in the likes of Smith from Jamaica, I think. But when you have such a long season, it's tough on the body, tough on the joints. So you got to lift your head up and come back another time. But hopefully the bright spot there. I think Jasmine also would be deflated in a sense. But it was a good competition, and I love to see it. All right, so yeah, I'm just quickly going through some of those things. That was a women's long jump final. Don't forget to put your comments there, your thoughts on anything, things that we've already discussed, things I'm missing out on and you want to talk about. If you agree with me, that's great. If you don't, that's even better. We can hash it out. Hit that like button because, other people know that we go live, and I'll be trying to go live every day this week, and it might be a little bit tougher as the week progresses, but I'll definitely do my best. And we'll end the championships off very well on the weekend. All right, so what we have up next is let me quickly do a next result. I think I just wanted to go quickly to what's the men's hammer. Yeah, men's hammer throw. That was also a surprise for me. I don't know if you guys follow the hammer that well, but the Canadian, where did he come from? A national record, 81.25. FIDEC finally fails. Season best of 80 meters, but Pavel, he didn't get a chance to win. What would have been what? Would it have been his sixth or fifth? Yeah, so he's no longer there. The Hungarian was really good. So we got a couple good 80-meter throws there. Nowicki, the Polish guy, 81.02. I think I had him winning. Winkler didn't do as well as I thought he would have down there in 8th position. But the hammer delivered. Sometimes it's tough to be watching all of this at the same time. And, Pavel, all-time great, probably the greatest for me. And no 6 in a row, as you say, all in the game here. And it's tough for him. But it was a good thing. And this Canadian guy, I think where's the series on this? He comes up with the 81.25 in round 5. And, and then he backs it up again with another 80. So he had a really good series there. I think he's from Montreal, if I'm not mistaken. So the Canadians have found somebody who can deliver a big medal for them in the field, and they must be proud of that. All right. So quickly on that, I'm going through a couple more things, then we'll get to the women's 100 meters. So stick around. It's going to be exciting. All in the game. Let me get to that before can the fellow Canadian Cam Rogers also win the women's hammer? I don't know. I can't remember my predictions for the women's hammer. I have to go back and look at that, but we'll check up. Thanks everybody for joining. I don't even know if I can pronounce this properly. Hopefully I don't butcher this, but is it panache or panache? I can't even see. Sometimes it's so small. Sorry. The Tobago kid is dangerous, a strategist in his own right. Thank you for joining me tonight. He is lots of upside for Let's See Le Tobago. I think he's the one that if he starts to win medals now and he's getting into the mix, he's the future. Him and Arian, I think over the next decade or so, will be fighting it out for some major medals, potentially world records and so on. Lots of upside. I like the kid. I think he's in good nick. So yeah, I think this would be bonus for him tonight. I know his team would be thinking this medal, the silver medal, is bonus for him, and he will be. Noah won't have it easy. So I think that 200 meters would be fantastic. And who knows? I don't want to put. Yeah, I think we'll see some super fast times. Tamara Brown, good to have you on the channel. What do you think of Shelley's performance in the 100-meter heats? I thought she looked phenomenal. I think you meant. I'm going to get to that. Just to say, hold on for that. I'm pleased by what I saw, but we'll get to that in a second. And what else? Quickly, he tapered down to 9.8 from 10. Yeah, he's having a fantastic year. Tobago, I think, PB'd in a number of events this year in a short span. And if you say he went 19.5, is 19.4 in the cards? We have to see. Also, we have to remember after rounds, it's not easy to replicate these standards, but we'll see for sure. What is all in the game saying? Tobago 44.7 will eventually run sub 44. I think so. To be honest with you, I've said it before. I think I've said it on this channel. I think Tobago could be a great 2-4 guy, but a lot of people don't like that kind of route. A lot of work. The 100 meters, I know what it brings. It's the glamour event. People like to run that, but we'll see. And what else? You could see Noah had a 9.8 low in him based off the semis. I predicted a 9.84. He had not had that early. He had not had that early celebration. Possibly, yeah. But Noah is in good shape. I think Lance has him in tip top shape. All right, let's cover real quickly and stick with me before we get into the women's 100 meters. Let's do the semifinals of the 1500 meters. And then we'll continue and we'll hash out things as we see it fit. Thank you everybody for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button. I'm begging you just because I think when you do that, it's a signal that we have a good thing going and other people can join us. Women's 1500 meter semifinal. If anything, this was the true test of the rule change. If anything, this was the definite true test of the rule change. So as many of you know, There's no longer fast times there for places, automatic qualification going into the final. So you just have to be there. And to be honest with you, if you finish number 11 in the second semifinal, let's just go over that quickly. I will break it down, but look at the second semifinal with Faith Kipyegon leading the way. Nikki Hiltz from the United States, 4 minutes .84. Go back to the first semifinal. She would have won that race. So you must be gutted. You know, if ever a time you didn't want a rule change, even though most of these distance athletes love this rule change because what it does is that you don't have to jostle and think about timing, but they have to be gutted. Very good. This is a top situation, tough situation rather for them. But it was a good first semifinal. I think Chip Cherchi looked well. She controlled the race as well. All of those women got into the final. But the second semifinal, you know, brought the heat. The world record holder, Faith Kipyegon, who I think will go on and comfortably win this. The likes of Asif and Hassan had to come back into that race in order to, I guess, wash off what happened to her yesterday. It was a tough thing for Sifan yesterday in terms of falling when she looked on course to win before Gudaf Segai beat her. But, you know, all the principles was there. Wetel Jewel, so they're 355, Sifan 355.48, season best there. A lot of PBs, national record for Adele Tracy. Shout out to the Jamaicans because this is a massive national record, I believe, because I believe the record before is over 4 minutes, right? And so, not to go off on a rant, I don't know what this will mean. You know, it's just an unfortunate situation that she can't get into the final with such a good time. But hopefully that's a motivating factor. Sadly, I doubt that will happen. You know, we often don't see things going there. But big performance there. Women, it's going to be a spectacular final. All right, let me get to some more comments. I see some new people coming on here. Rocket Wilson, good to have you on the channel. What? Oh, we got to watch out for Trinidad and Tobago, Jeremy Richards, 200, 400 meter. I mean, Richards, yeah, he looked decent this morning in over 400 meters. I think he can do something. I don't know if he can sneak his way into medal contention. I was surprised to see Karani winning, especially knowing what Karani went through. But we'll definitely have to look out to that. Wilson, Botswana 4x4 stack. I agree with that. All in the game. It's going to be tough to get them off the medal podium. What else? Felt for Adele Tracy running a big PB, national record missing out. Yeah, exactly. All right. Thanks again for reminding. That's the all in the game. The national record was 4:02:36. So that's like obliterating the record. What was that? Was it Graham? Was it Winthrop's wife who had the record? And so, yeah. And Jamaican, I guess you're saying Civil did well. I mean, I don't know if he will. I guess he'll take the compliment, but I'm sure he's upset for not walking away with a medal there. So that was good. Let's quickly go to men's. Thank you everybody for joining me, and keep getting those comments in. Keep asking questions, whatever you want to ask. Quickly over the men's 1500 Negus, or I'm not. The Americans say Negus. Is it Negus or Negusi? I don't know how it's pronounced. But I think it's Negus. You know, look really good in his semifinal. Kip Sang looked good as well. Number of these guys run a quality thing, and they all got into the final. I don't think he really broke a sweat. He was comfortable at the end. I think Yared basically calm at the end. And obviously in the second semifinal, I don't think Jakob Ingebrigtsen was particularly happy with the crowd coming off on the bend. He's like putting his hands up, wanting some more of a support there. He looks really good. I think what I was most disappointed in, and I think maybe that was in the first semifinal. Let me do something real quickly. Yeah, Mohamed Katir from Spain. I didn't fancy him finishing all the way down in 10th position. So I think he has a big casualty there, not going into the final. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. and I haven't seen any results afterwards in terms of a post-race interview. But all the principles are there as well in the second semi-final. And I think in Ingebrigtsen to challenge the championship record, who knows what he might do. Yeah, so we'll see. Thanks all in the game. Yeah, it's Negus, right? Yeah, thanks so much. And it's going to be a fantastic 1500-meter finals once we get there. And what everybody has been waiting for, why Shelly-Ann is getting an easy semifinal. Before we get to that stuff, we'll see. I don't think that's not how it works. You know, a lot of people think there's an agenda to it, but that's not how it works. But we'll get to that. Let's talk about some of the stuff that happened at this morning's session, and we'll definitely start off with the women's 100 meters. But before we get into detail on that, it's hot in Budapest. You know, the athletes are complaining. I've heard from journalists that the heat can be unbearable. And maybe the organizers are doing a little bit of a snafu here and there. Because if you know about this new stadium, which is a fantastic stadium, this national facility that they built, the warm-up track is across the bridge that they get transported via a golf cart, and then they get into this tented area, which apparently the heat is high in there, and they need probably better ventilation. As I was saying, I think I was saying this to all in the game on chat earlier today. They need some of those massive football mists. It's really, really hot in there. You saw Shelley and Fraser Price standing on a stool trying to cool down. And we saw a number of casualties this morning, even the likes of a Stephen Gardner being stretchered off. So they need to do something there. But we're going to get into this 100 meters from the women this morning. And thank you, everybody, for joining us. I see a number of new people coming on. You know, is this Christina Roachstone? Thank you for joining us. I'll get back to you, Nambi. I'll get back to all of these things in a second. And I think people are complaining about the semifinal. I think what does Bennett say here? Let me just read that. I think the semifinal isn't fair at all. Shelley and will have a well-rested leg. With the rest, will have to run 10.7 to qualify. Also, Dina and Morrison will have a better chance to qualify. I mean, after you see the semifinal, you know the semifinal number 2 is stuck, and we'll get to that in a second. But I don't think they didn't give it to her. It's a ranking system, and then others get drawn into the mix, and it's tough, but that's the quality. And you probably want some of these women in the final, but you know there's going to be a super big run in order to make sure that you solidify one of those 2 spots. But let's get into that 100 meters. You guys are excited by this? Anything that surprised you this morning? Let me know before I break it down. You know, because I thought there was a number of high-level things there this morning. First of all, I think heat number 1, Julian Alfred looked cool. You know, Daryl need to look better than I thought, because I don't think Daryl is having one of those particularly great season, but she looked good. You know, Gina Bassa, I think also in the mix, Frey from Switzerland, or Frey rather. Some promising, you know, medal contenders there. So I'm going to break down that 100-meter thing. I think most of you want to just talk about the big 3. I don't know if you want to think about it, the big 4 or so on. I will say, you know, if I just give a highlights before we go through anything, I thought Fraser Price looked extremely good. You know, she looked like she has no issues, because we wanted to see what kind of pressure she would put on the knee. She looked good coming out, very comfortable. Richards looked good too. There's not much we can say about that. But probably, you know, same for the likes of Shericka Jackson, immediately shutting down as well. So it's about managing the rounds. But I saw a Talu ultra smooth. I saw a John Smith in your ears kind of following instructions to the T, Marie-José Talu. So it's a lot of things going there. Yeah, I don't know what to say. We'll get into it in a second. I think, let me get to a couple comments here. What are you saying, all in the game? Yeah, that was something there. Yeah. Imani, we saw for the first time the utilization of the video officials allowing her to continue running, and ultimately she was disqualified. But she did go early. It's tough when you do that. I guess the reaction time was, what was the reaction time again? We should pull that back up. I don't know if I can get that real up on the screen. I myself need to get some of these results from this morning, because when we put stuff on the screen, sometimes I don't really see it. But let me just pull it up for my own liking here. Let me get the results, and bear with me. Thank you everybody for joining me. I've been up all morning. Did you watch a race walk? I did watch that race walk. So let's. Imani was in what heat again? She was in the heat with Jackson, right? Was it the Jackson heat? No, it was the Natasha Morrison Shakara Richardson heat. I'm trying to see where's the official results to see what the reaction time was again, because I can't remember the reaction time off the top of my head. Yeah. So where is it? Maybe I have to ask one of you guys to tell me. Yeah. So I'm not seeing the reaction time again. Sorry, it's not there. But yeah. Thanks. Yeah, but it didn't. They DQ'd her, but I don't remember what the reaction time was. They're not showing it on the official results again. But I saw it earlier today. But yeah, it's tough. You're right. All in the game. It's tough. She was having a good season, and that those things happen. You never want to see it, but those things happen. But it's a good number of women running fantastically well. I think Julian Alfred will do something. The only thing that we can say about Julian Alfred is this long collegiate season, and that's the only thing. But she's a special talent, and I think she will do something well. Brittany Brown looked good. Dina Asher-Smith, she knows what to do at a major championship. I thought Saboda and Davis had a good race as well. And Sharika Jackson, very comfortable. I think running to instructions, nothing to think about. I was surprised to see Michelle Lee IE. We haven't seen her doing much recently. And, I guess her experience basically came to the fore, and, qualified comfortably as well. And Shakari, I think she had the fastest time of the morning, 10:92, looking good. I think she ran around very, very well. There's not much we can say. Natasha Morrison looked good as well. And so, we're getting up to some good names, but I thought Talu was exquisite, very easy on the eye. And, Sasha Lee Forbes, good running as well. And then we get to Fraser Price, and we wanted to see what the leg would do. And I think Shelly and Fraser Price is in good nick. And I don't know how much work she needs to do in the semifinal, and we get to those lane draws in a second. Munjingi Kambunji, 11-0, looking good as well, because she's one who is having a problem all season as well. And Zoe Hobbs as well, looking good. So, we got a good contingent of women going through into the semifinals. And outside of the kind of false start there, we didn't really, lose anybody of big note, I don't think. If I'm missing anybody, you let me know. But what I want to get into, and I think we should break it down, is this semifinal. The semifinal lineup for tomorrow. Because I think some of you out there are complaining about it too, thinking that there are some problems there. So tomorrow we'll see a massive semifinal lineup. And the first semifinal, if we're being honest with ourselves, Fraser Price should have this really easy. She should get out, and she should be able to shut it down really easy. All right. So management of the rounds would be important for her. There's IE there. I don't think she'll pose a problem. Daryl Nita. None of these women in that semifinal would scare me, to put any kind of significant pressure on a Fraser Price. And so this is probably the easiest of the semifinal, at least if you're talking about one of the favorites for the title. If they had to run a semifinal, this is the one they want. But then you get to semifinal number 2, and that's where we're going to have some problems. Look at that. Semifinal number 2 has Richardson, Talu, and Jackson. Those are three women that could very well take the title. And then you have a Hobbs who's been running good this season. You have a Munjingi Kambunji who you know she can step up. Sasha Lee Forbes. The thing is stacked. Stack. So look here, we're looking at Jackson, Richardson, and Talu. One of those three women will have to sit in the queue room. Imagine that. Queue room for one of these three women. I don't know what's going to happen. If you don't get out well and run well, you might be doing a Fred Kerley. You might have to run, dare I say, to 10-7 to get into that final. It's going to be ridiculous. Let me get to some comments here. I don't know what I've been missing. Now, following what I saw in the heats and the placements in the semifinal, my prediction is Fraser Price, Talu, and Sharika. Okay, as I guess, yeah. Interesting. I don't know where. Yeah, it's a good point. All in the game. Brittany Brown, Alfred, Dina, and Nashasha will be in a good race. Yeah, that's a good race. What does Ben say? From the rounds, I couldn't tell a heavy favorite. Talu was very impressive because we know she can start, and also she did almost jog the whole thing. St. Clair, Shakari will be sitting in the waiting room. So that's what you think it will happen. I mean, yeah, we should put these out. I don't know. It's gonna be tough. What All in the Game has here. And thank you everybody for joining. You guys should be saying things on the live. You know, I put things up. I want to engage with everybody. I like all these people who comment. It makes the live vibrant and so on. Will be the fastest semi ever, which means there's a chance one of the three doesn't run at their best in the final in an hour and 15 minutes later. Shelley, Julian, Dina must be grateful for their semifinal. Good sentiment. I agree with that. I think you're Shelley and Fraser Price. You're in the first semifinal. You comfortably. You make sure you do your best to comfortably qualify for that final. You do a little cool down and warm back up right away. And you watch, you know what the Trinidadians say: you drink water and mind your business. That's what she has to do, and and go out there and deliver. But one of the big names have to sit down and wait for qualification, and that's up there. Jack Van Rooyen, if I'm pronouncing that. Jack Van Rooyen, sorry if I'm butchering that. Richardson, Jackson, Talu. It's going to be big time there. That's your finals prediction, or that's the order of your semifinals prediction. Yes, Britannia. You're right. I was wrong. I don't even know why I missed out on Ivana Valletta. What's her maiden name? Spano. Forgot her maiden name, and I don't want to butcher it. Yeah, you're 100% right here. Wins the long jump. Good to see you back this afternoon, and so on. I hope you're enjoying a number of the things. And what Ben says, the problem is not who gets to sit in the waiting room, but rather Shelley will have the benefit against the rest, especially with an hour rest. I mean, that's true, Ben. I mean, it's just part of the. What happened if Shelley was in that race and if you took the problem is one of those women end up in the race regardless. It's tough, right? If you took Shelley out and if you took away Shakari and put Shelley in that race, we would be saying the same thing. It's just one of those years where the women are in top class shape, and you just have to bring it. I suppose Shelley and Fraser Price is happy because of her age as well. She's the elder stateswoman. I know Talu is getting up there as well. Talu won't be happy, but Fraser Price will be because she doesn't have to rest as well. And then let's just finally look at the third semifinal. And that has the likes of Alfred, Brittany Brown, Dina Asher-Smith. But those women will have to run hard as well. So I think everything is going to set up themselves for hard running. I suspect people will try to run hard in Heat 1, but I think Fraser Price will try to control it as best as possible. Heat 2 will be a firecracker. Probably very low, maybe sub sub 10.8. If we're being honest with ourselves, it's going to be sub 10.8, and then then if you're in the semifinal, in the third semifinal, the likes of Asha Smith and an Alfred or Morrison, they will have to run their lights out as well in order to try and qualify. So that's what's going to go. Yeah, Spanovic. Thanks all in the game, and yeah. So I don't know. It's gonna be very tough come tomorrow, but I'm excited for it. This is what sports serves us up, and we should be happy that these things happen. Yeah. So who you have for the? I don't know who. I still can't predict the winner of the women's 100 meters. I know that's super semifinal. I don't know what to do here, but I'm glad that is happening. So thank you everybody for joining me, and hopefully you're enjoying the show this evening. And we'll move right along. And don't forget to smash that like button, put your comments in the chat, because I put them up on the screen. I try to respond to everyone. And then if you're joining me on the rebroadcast, I'll certainly try to get you in the comments. You know that I respond in the comments, and I appreciate that. Let's get back to some of the other things that happened in the morning session. We can quickly go over the women's 400 meters. I thought we had casualties here in the women's 400 meters. It was tough. We lost the likes of I think we lost Britton Wilson, right? Hopefully she's okay. Yeah, but Kazmarek looked good. I think she's potentially a medal winner here. She be in the mix. She's having a fantastic season. Candice McLeod looked really well, ran really well. I mean, I think she's coming into the championships much better than I thought she would have been. Bolingo also there, so that is setting up well nicely. And we can just run through the results real quickly, because I know we want to probably go back and talk about some other stuff. So that was heat 1. Heat 2, Claver to a 50.52. So a lot of these women are running good opening round times, mid 50s. That pretty much good running there. And yeah, I think Paulina, I believe, had the fastest time for the morning, if I'm not mistaken. She ran sub 50. I think Paulina, for me right now, given what I know, probably would be gold medal favorite for me. But we'll have to see when we get to the semifinal stage. So we can run through some more of these really quickly. I thought Sade looked good. She had to run hard, and then she shut it down. I don't know if you call it that way. But it was good to see Mila Weibo back in action. Imagine, I think it's exactly 4 months after giving birth, the defending champion finds herself on the track. That is something spectacular. Obviously, we didn't expect her to do much, but to run 52.65, and you haven't really been training that much. Shawnee is a special type of a woman, and I expect a lot of work will be going in for the remainder of the season and leading up into background training for next year, because I think Shawnee will be on course to try and come and defend our title. By then we may get Sydney McLaughlin fit and ready. And so, fireworks going into Paris next year, but we have time to discuss that. Let's get into the other heats. Price, from Jamaica as well. Nothing really to be upset with, except the big casualty would have been Britton Wilson in this one, and hopefully and Adelike, I think, also is a special talent. She also had a long collegiate season, so what can she do later on? We'll see what happens in the rounds. And yeah, and then the final heat, Paulino, Dominican Republic, didn't run in the mixed 4x4, and if she sub 50. And it's good to see Horugo as well in the mix. Diggs there, and yeah. So I'm even Cherokee Young all the way qualify on a small queue. So there's a good performances happening in the women's 400 meters. Let me get back to some of these comments real quickly before we just run through the men's in a second. Part of being a successful champion is sometimes having some luck. Shelly Fraser-Price has been blessed by luck. She will win. I don't see any of these girls in Heat 2 recovering from a 10-7 and then beating her. Well, we'll have to see. I don't know how much luck she's been blessed by. I think she would say she was always in good position. Yeah, but I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah. Britain needs time to fully heal and should only do the 400 next year. I agree. She's pro next year, right? So did she sign? Did she sign with Nike? I can't remember. 2023 is Australian Fraser Price is 2023 to Bolt's 2015. Well, we'll see. If she delivers it, we'll see. Then that would be a good call. We could come back and I could steal that line from you. Or borrow it from you. All in the game. Shawnee versus Sid versus Paulina next year. Yeah. Low 48s, probably, right? Mid to low 48s. Yeah. Some might say below that, but I just can't see it. How come Nikisha Price came first and is being placed in lane 8 for the semis? I didn't look at the semis, but there's only 3 of them, right? So I think it's probably the ranking on time. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Yeah, Britain signed with Adidas. Thanks for the clarification. Let's quickly run through the men's 400 meters, and I appreciate everybody still sticking around. I'm doing a good one tonight, trying to do it quickly. Stephen Gardner, I mean, hopefully he's okay. 44.65 is nothing for him, but we did see them stretching him off the track. So I haven't gotten any word, but I suspect he's suffering from some like a heat-related injury. Probably some kind of a stroke thing, heat stroke. Hopefully he'll be back. He'll be fine. Yeah, let's run through them real quickly. Wade Van Niekerk also is in the mix. Hudson Smith from Great Britain. They love this guy. I don't know how far he can go. It's good to see the Bonavik in mix again. Yeah, so nothing there. I think Zambrana is probably the casualty, but I don't know how much we expected from him. Yeah, Norwood in the mix. Richards, Ingolvadsen from Norway, national record. Good running there. So a number of guys qualifying there. Even one of the Borley guys qualified. Yeah, so I'm not seeing anything to be upset about. Karani James, sub 45, 44.9. Bailey from Jamaica in third and Sato from Japan second, personal best. I think it's good to see Karani running. It's not been a great season for him. A lot of trauma, but hopefully he can round himself into shape. He's one of those guys, a super champion, so he's been there, done that. So we'll see what he can deliver. Yeah. And Heat 5, Antonio Watson. I thought Watson looked really well. He ran that curve really nicely, comfortably into the straightaway. Lots of upside for this kid. Lots of upside. Beating out Hall from the United States. I think Antonio Watson is one for the future. If he can do the kind of work necessary, I think he's a sub 44 man in the making. I could see him as a sub 44.9, sub 44.8 guy. Has good speed over 200 meters. If he can work on running a 2.4 in the future, which is very difficult, only a few people can manage to do that, then I think he's one for the future. First world championship. I think I like the kid. Yeah. And in the final heat, we lost Bryce Deadman, which I thought Deadman would have been doing something big time in this championship as well. So that's tough. Enduri from Botswana in the mix. I think these, as All in the Game said earlier, the Botswanan guys have a bunch of guys that they will be potentially doing very well in the 4x4. Zidane Barnes from Barnes from Jamaica and Doom from Belgium in the mix. So don't count out the Belgium guys. As usual, they have a bunch of guys in the 4x4. So we'll look forward to some of that. So yeah, those are some good performances that we saw earlier today. I want to just continue quickly, and if you have your comments here, let me know your thoughts are. Let's go quickly into the men's 400-meter hurdles, because the big boys came out and they came out to play. And, I was very impressed by what I saw. The Santos, he has to round himself into good shape. He, coming back from a knee injury. Is it a knee injury? I didn't think that Dos Santos would have made it to this championship, but he's clearly there. I think, so he's in the mix. We'll see how fast he can run. I'm not quite sure how fast he can run. When I see the semifinals, I'll get a better sense. But I know he had run, fairly way behind Varham in that last Diamond League, but he was just coming back into the mix. Yeah, but Alison Dos Santos is there. Let's get to the second semifinal. I just want to quickly go through some of these things. Karen McMaster, I'm impressed by him as well. Unlucky kid. He has a PB of low 47s, I believe, and he's missed out on the podium just because he's just in an era of guys who can get themselves into a sub 47 and below, and it's tough for him. But I hope that he can do something. Trevor Bassett look good as well. There's a bunch of guys in the mix, but I think All in the Game has a good comment here. It's now or never for McMasters because you're rightly so with Alison Dos Santos not being in the very best shape. Now is the time for somebody to step up here, and McMaster's one who suffers from injuries from time to time, but we'll see. And then we'll get to there's this this Varham I thought looked really comfortable. The Frenchman decided to beat him or pip him on the line at the end. I think that was more of a I want to beat Carson Varham, but Varham is I said it. I think I said it a few weeks ago that I think Varham is in world record shape. I don't know if he can break the world record, but the way he was running a couple of those 46 earlier this season, it suggests to me that he's in super shape. So I think the gold medal goes through Carsten Varham. I think he'll win it easily. So we'll have to see. Yeah, let's run through some more. I think there was I was excited to see that this semifinal this heat was good. I was really looking to see what the kid from Jamaica would do, and I thought he held on to himself creditably well. But it's the big boy territory, so you have to be running. Imagine running a mid 48 to make sure that you qualify. It was a particularly good run. The German guy ran well, and CJ Allen, I think he might have something to say, but I just can't see any of these guys really factor in. They'll do well to get into the final, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. And then Rai Benjamin, I don't think once Varham is healthy, Rai can beat him. I know people might be upset with that, but I think mentally, I think Varham has it in his head. I mean, and last year was Rai's chance to win when Varham was out, but Dos Santos stepped up, and Jahil Hyde looked pretty good trying to secure a second place finish in this heat as well. So I think we're setting up ourselves to see a number of individuals that will run well over the semifinals. But the big guys are there, and you have to really run hard if you're gonna get anywhere close to this mix. And then the last thing I want to touch on before I get into this, let me get this quick. Sets up Paris 24 perfectly if Rai somehow wins in Budapest. It would, but I just don't think Rai can win. I don't know your thoughts on it. I just don't think Varham can be beat. He's just that good. Assuming everything works well. Obviously, we know we're talking about hurdles and stranger things can happen. You can crash into them, you can get injured. But if none of those things happen, then I think we're fine. And speaking about crashing into hurdles, much like last year at the start of the 110-meter hurdles, we've lost one of the pre-race favorites, and Jamaica's Rashid Broadbell. He went clattering into hurdle 9, was it? And he was out. But we'll get into this in a second. Let's go over the results. I think Parchment winning his first race. Hansel Parchment is Hansel Parchment. He's been there. He's done that super experience. There's nothing I really saw that suggested. We know the deficiencies in a Parchment's race, but he's always in the mix. And, he was comfortable, I thought. Had to work a little, but not much. Good to see Sasha Joya. Corden Tinch is the guy who, was happy in this race. He got one of the automatic spots, but but he was clattering into hurdles as well, and so that's where we, you don't want to be doing that, and that happened. So I think he learned this lesson. I saw his post-race interview. He was very frank, saying that he wasn't doing very well, but he gets into the mix. Thank you everybody for joining me, and thank you for joining me, Mohammed. If it's the first time on the channel, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. We've been just talking a lot about the events of today. All in the game. Does the championship record of 1291 get broken? It depends. It depends on the conditions. It depends on what kind of shape people are in. I think if a broad bell was still around, I would probably say yes. I mean, what kind of shape is Holloway in, right? I guess once it gets to the semifinal round, I'll have a better sense. It could go. It could go. I mean, we know Cordell, if he gets it right, can really run fast. We know the same for a Hansa Parchment. He gets into these championships and you don't have to worry. He comes. He more often than not, even when he's not having a great season, he can deliver. The thing I know, and I think until I'm proven otherwise, if you're close to Holloway in the last 2 hurdles, he could struggle. But I still think he gets out really well. He's always the favorite for me. We can't say otherwise. He's one of the big guys, and you could hurt him, and I think he, without Broadbell as well, I think Holloway has it a little bit easier. But we'll have to see. Let's get through the rest of the results. I like this Japanese kid. I think he looked good as well. Izumiya. He looked really good. The French guy looked good as well. But I don't know if these guys will factor. I think the Japanese kid could factor, but I'm not quite sure. Right? Like, we'll have to see. Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what happens. And Mendy looked decent to me as well earlier today. And yeah, I mean, the biggest casualty from this was Broadbell, and it's unfortunate. When he tumbled, he also took out the kid from Japan, who ultimately got back into the semifinal. And yeah, so I was expecting Rashid to definitely run a low 12.9. From all the indications, he was coming into this championships fit and healthy, and he was coming to do something. And this is one of the things about the hurdles. The hurdles are barriers, and they're pretty high. And if you're not in good nick and clearing them, you could run into problems. I used to talk to a lot of hurdlers. When you talk to the hurdles coach, sometimes they talk about the idea of maintaining the same kind of cadence and speed that you usually do, and not purposely trying to slow down until you try to run the similar race most of the times, and then when you get off hurdle 10, you just kind of shut it down, because once you start to tinker with that, sometimes you end up crashing into hurdles. I'm not saying that's what happened to Rashid Broadbell, but he wasn't efficient. He didn't look as good, and the same happened for Cordell, but he didn't crash into hurdles, and it's unfortunate. And hopefully he can get back to the drawing board, get himself back on the circuit, finish the circuit strong, and then build up. This might be it might be the catalyst for the Olympics next year. But you never like to see this, and I saw the likes of Grant Holloway going over to console him at the end, and so that was a good thing. What is this? I saw a clip of a Jamaica track and field YouTuber crying her eyes out like a family member died. My God. Oh, interesting. I haven't seen it. Is this something that's going viral on social media? I haven't seen this. Maybe there's yeah. I don't know. Sometimes people cry for sport because they bet their house and their land on it or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I've been very disappointed in sports over my many years watching sports. I think I no longer get that emotionally tied to it. Obviously, I might be disappointed, especially in some sports. But as you get older, you think about these things differently. Yeah. Oh, crying her eyes out. That's tough. Hopefully she's okay. Marvin, thanks for joining. Uh, what? Bright Faster 2012 in best shape. I remember. I feel it for her. Oh, Bridget Foster. I think you're saying. Similar. Yeah, I remember that. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Crashed there. That was tough for her. That was definitely tough for her. I mean, the hurdles. Gail. Didn't Gail crash out one year? What year was it? Was it Atlanta or Barcelona? Where maybe it's Barcelona where she was. Didn't like Gail crash and run like 12:13 a race or something like that? I don't remember, but yeah, I remember Gail one year. The hurdles serve this up every year. I don't think we've ever had a season where people don't crash out of the sprint hurdles. It's brutal, you know. You want to go super fast, and you're gonna crash into stuff. Yeah, and yeah. What else? Is there any more? Yeah, there's a couple more heats that we didn't touch on. Let's just do them quickly. I think Holloway looked decent. There's not much there. Bennett managed to qualify from Jamaica. Yeah. And then the final heater, just do this and we'll get out of here. I think Daniel Roberts. Didn't Daniel Roberts crash out last year when he was one of the big favorites for coming into, was it the US championships or into the world championships? Yeah. So it happens, I think it's almost like one of those things. Yeah. Yeah. So Ojora from Great Britain look decent, 12:30s. I mean, those are good times, to be running anyway. And so most of what will happen in these events, we'll have to wait and see once we get into the semifinals. Let's get to a couple more. Yeah, Lolo Jones, you're exactly right. She also hit that. She was on course there, never recovered after that, and all in the game. That's why you never bet money on the hurdles. You probably don't bet money on sports generally, right? But yeah, that's true. Hurdles, they're unpredictable. I think I saw something. I didn't watch it, but I was scrolling YouTube because sometimes things come in my feed, and someone was saying something about Broad Bell as being one of the sure bets for a medal. And I often think when the sure bets for a medal is a hurdler, you have to be careful. But yeah, today was a fantastic day. We saw a lot. I appreciate everybody for sticking around on the channel. I said it again. I said it at the top of the hour. Noah Lyles saved his best for Sunday. In his post-race interview, he said a lot of people didn't believe, but they believed, and they worked it out. He also mentioned that after that semifinal start, the coach told him there's nothing you need to do. So his head was clear, and he went into the 100 meters knowing that if he was in the mix with these guys and they weren't further ahead of him, it was his race to win. And so he did. I didn't predict this. And he did win. So congratulations to the United States again winning the title. So they'll have a contingent of 4 the next time we have another world championship. Let's see the Tobago. If you are from when was the last time an African medal in the 100 meters? Was it Frankie Fredericks? I mean, if you don't count Francis Obilu, he was Portuguese when he medal, right? I can't remember. I shouldn't be just doing these things off the top of my head in the fly. But this is good. It's good now. What do we have here? It would be good for the event/sport if someone loses the 200. If he somehow loses the 200 meters. I guess. I guess. I don't know. The story is if he also wins the 200 meters and the 4x1, then that's the story of the games. Lyles came and delivered. But big night for Great Britain, getting back on the medal podium as well. Zarnell Hughes, one of the pre-race favorites for a medal. Maybe if he had better composure, better start, he could have been on top of the podium. I guess Christian Coleman will be left disappointing. He will leave tonight being disappointed rather, because in the semifinals he looked really good, looked good in the opening round. Likewise for Oblique Seville. And so three men look really well in the semifinals, and only one of them managed to get on the podium. And that's in the likes of Lyles, who walks away with a gold medal. And he's building up a nice chest of things to move forward. So, yeah, we'll see. Let me get to some more of your comments. Yeah, Francis Obikwele, yeah. Moved from Nigeria to Portugal. What about Chilean in the heats? She looks good. I think she will win the gold. Oh yeah, I did. I don't know if I touched on this earlier. Maybe I didn't. I can't say if she's gonna win the gold yet. I've seen everything that I like to see, in the sense that she looked comfortable. She came out of the blocks. She transitioned into acceleration fairly quickly, so you didn't see any difference once she got up and start to push those legs, and then she kind of cruised afterwards and run a race that looked like she was within herself. And so you want to see that, and we did. I imagine they'll go back and they're happy with it. How much speed in the tank? I don't know. The only things we can go back on was the 200 meters at the Jamaica National Championships. Suggest that there's speed endurance there. She ran a 22.2. And those back-to-back 10.8s were the first kind of opening up to suggest that something is still there. Maybe those were more mental to get her head right, that she's okay. So maybe she's healthy, and all she has to do is to run through, and her vast experience. She's been going to World Championships since when? She was at the 2007 World Championships. She didn't run individually, but she was in the mix in the relay in 2007, right? But she's been winning major titles since 2008. And so the one thing that we know about our Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is that if she's fit, healthy, and ready, and she gets a good start, she's going to be on that medal podium. More often, it's going to be a gold. But there's a number of factors that we just don't know yet. We'll see what happens. I think the semifinals might not tell us much more either, because if she gets out comfortably, she'll shut it down. But we have some really fast women in the field as well that can challenge. So I don't know. I don't know what the ceiling for Fraser-Pryce is this year, because we haven't really seen anything to gauge from. Can she win a 6th world title? Sure she can. But I really think that Shericka Jackson is in a low 10-6 shape and could be better. If she executes well, she could dip below 10-6. She could. Sha'Carri has been running really fast all season as well. So we have to take that into consideration. And then Talou looks good, and she's been prepared differently this time. And then you can never count out the likes of an Alfred springing a big surprise. So I just don't know. You know? I don't know. I can't call it. I don't know. I can't stand here and say Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce will win. I wouldn't be mad at it. I can tell you that. It would be something ridiculous for her to win that many titles. I've already said it. I've said it before on the videos on this channel when I do lives. Everything that Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce has been doing in the sport for the last few years is just stunting on people. Nothing she does really impacts the legacy for me anymore in terms of just building on it. She's already the greatest. Back-to-back at the Olympics. And then you add to that a bronze and a silver medal. And you add all those world titles. And outside of that year when she, I think, was coming back from a slight injury, she's always on top of the medal podium in the World Championships. And so when you even say luck, I think someone said luck earlier, you know, she's always had an excuse for when she doesn't win. I think only 21 is the year when she had no medical issue and they just misjudged the peaking. And I don't think she would have won anyway in 21, but it would be much closer. So it could have been much closer because she ended up running 10:60 that year as well. And then that consistency of just running those sub 10s and the sub 10 sevens, I don't really think she has to do anything for us to think that she's the greatest over 100 meters, man or a woman, I think. And yes, she doesn't have the world record, but we can debate this world record until kingdom come. Unless they do something about it, it's a stain on the sport. And not because of who ran it, but because of the equipment failure. And I don't care what they say. It was a hurricane in Indianapolis. And Omega, I think Omega was doing the thing at the time. They had their own reports. At the time, IWF had a report on it before they changed to World Athletics. And so it's one of the bad things for the sport in terms of what that record meant to the perception of what it means. Just as I think the women get a hard time with a number of records that are still on the books, including the 400 meters, the 800 meter record, shot put, you name it. And so we'll have to see. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me, Hasben, for you joining us from I've never been to Morocco. I was in Egypt early this year, but I've never been to Morocco. It's on my list of things to do. I'd like to, come out there at some point. I appreciate you for saying these things. Dean or Julian in the third semi. Let's bring that back up again, all in the game. If I had to put money on it, I would put Julian, only because for speed. But I know that Dean Asher-Smith is finding her way back. And she's tough as nails. Always delivers. Dina will run with one hamstring. Asher-Smith, not Daryl Nita. Dina Asher-Smith. Yeah. She'll run tough. So I don't know. Yeah. Francis, almost 45, is still running. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, he has the world records for those things. Thank you so much. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're in a good space. I think I was trying to end that conversation about who I think will win the 100 meters. I'll just say I'll have to see what happens tomorrow. When the semifinal is all said and done, we'll also have a better sense of where we need to be. Because certainly the women in semifinal number 2 will have to exert themselves in ways that they wouldn't normally want to do. But somebody's sitting in the queue room. But they know this going in. So I think they will go out there and run super fast, which could have a disadvantage. I think maybe could impact Talu the most if you were to go by age and recovery. But I don't know. Yeah. I'm just guessing here, clutching for straws. Can't wait for it. Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be a big time. I'm going to try and do a live show. I may have to go a little bit later tomorrow. I may just jump on and do a quick live after the final, because I might be in and out of some meetings tomorrow when that's happening, but we'll see. But I appreciate everybody for joining me tonight, and for those of you who stay the course. This is your channel. I have a lot of things on the channel too. So, if you don't see me, you can feel free to check out some of the videos that we have, and, cover a number of sports, but I'm a big track and field guy, as you know, and a lot of you like that. So I'm in a big track and field mode this week. So I thank you. Hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. That way, when I go live, and you will get the notification. And so I thank you so much, and continue to put stuff in the comments. I'll get to it later. And if you join me on the rebroadcast, I'll also get to your comments. Hit that like button on your way out, and you have a good rest of your evening. And I know many of you are happy that we don't have to get up super early tomorrow because there's no morning session. And I'll see you tomorrow. And enjoy track and field. Enjoy whatever other sports that's going on in your life. And we'll see you. Take care. Thanks so much. Appreciate everybody.